Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, authorities are looking into how a stray bullet hit a Victoria home last week. The city of Victoria has a new mayor-elect, and a new fire chief for Victoria is sworn in this morning.
Although the north wind made it a little chilly today, tomorrow we'll be up to the 70s. In fact, more spring-like weather is expected for this week. We'll have the latest coming up in a moment.
And two area powerhouses will go at it on the soccer pitch tomorrow. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is on assignment. A Victoria family says someone opened fire outside of their home last week. They say the shooting left a room in their home with bullet holes. It happened around 8:30 p.m. last Thursday in the 7800 block of State Highway 185 South in Bloomington. The family says they believe the shots came from a nearby home. The family's daughter says she saw a bullet ricochet through a room and instantly dropped to the floor to avoid the bullets. The bullets reportedly hit a wall and a deep freezer. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office says it was not a drive-by shooting. There are no suspects at this time, and the case is under investigation. A 42-year-old suspect was arrested by Victoria County Sheriff's deputies. Sean Johnson is charged with aggravated assault with a weapon and unlawful restraint. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $50,000 bond. Over the weekend, Victoria elected a new mayor. Dwayne Crocker won the race with 61% of the vote. Mayor-elect Crocker says he wants to continue his service to others. The 55-year-old wants to focus on improving roadways, and he wants to work to retain firefighters and police officers. Crocker is an attorney who graduated from Texas Tech Law School in 1994.
I want to continue to support economic development to the extent we can with new jobs, workforce training, things of that nature. I think that's hugely important for us.
4,080 people voted in the mayoral specialty election, or 10.9% of all registered voters. The next election for mayor is set for May of 2025. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Are you satisfied with the outcome of the mayoral election? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 79% of the voters say yes, 21% of the voters say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and I will have an update on 25 News Now at 10. The new fire chief of the city of Victoria brings 30 years of experience in firefighting and rescue to the department. George Gomez was sworn in this morning as the new fire chief. Gomez says it's the professionalism, leadership, and care shown to the community that has really impressed him.
This department is talented and amazing. They are a leader, one to be recognized and emulated, and I'm just so honored and proud but yet humble to be a part of this team.
Gomez has 30 years experience, which includes 16 years of field patrol experience, plus 14 years of leadership and administrative assistance, all within the City of Dallas Fire and Rescue Department. Gomez began his new position on February 1st. Gomez has two sons who are also firefighters in North Texas. Governor Greg Abbott is expected in Victoria Thursday to support Jeff Bouknight for the District 30 House seat. The event begins at 10:30 a.m. at the Victoria College Emerging Technology Complex, 7403 Lone Tree Road. The event with Governor Abbott is open to the public, but those who want to attend need to RSVP. Come to our website, crossroadstoday.com, for that link to RSVP. The National Weather Service has these river flood warnings posted for the Crossroads. 2 river flood warnings for Victoria County are in effect. A warning until early Wednesday afternoon for the Guadalupe River at Victoria. At 11 o'clock a.m. today, the river was at 19.7 feet. Flood stage is 21 feet. A river flood warning for Victoria and Calhoun counties is in effect until early Saturday morning for the Guadalupe River near Bloomington. At 11 a.m. today, the river was at 26.2 feet. Flood stage is 20 feet. A river flood warning for Jackson County is in effect until Tuesday morning for the Lavaca River near Edna. At 9:15 a.m. today, the river was at 23 feet. Flood stage is 21 feet. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis. And of course, the rivers are going back up, Mac, for a little while at least because of all that rain we got Saturday morning.
Yeah, it was that Saturday rain that had to flow into the rivers because most of the ground was still saturated from the previous rain. Well, today we had a north wind, which made it feel a little chilly out there, I understand. But the cloud deck that rolled in is rolling out. And so we're looking for abundant sunshine. And guess what? Temperatures by tomorrow with the south wind getting up into the 70s. We'll be talking more about your spring-like weather, and we'll take a look at what's going on the West Coast. All that coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. In El Campo, a woman is in custody in the Wharton County Jail. 25-year-old Ashley Olguin is facing 3 charges. She is charged with intoxication manslaughter with the vehicle, and she also faces 2 counts of intoxication assault with the vehicle. Olguin is in jail in lieu of $1.3 million bond. A SWAT-style raid at a Wharton hotel Thursday captured the man believed responsible for 3 armed robberies, 2 of which took place in El Campo. The El Campo Leader News reports authorities say 40-year-old Christopher King of Bay City robbed 2 businesses in El Campo, along with a convenience store last month in Bay City. King was tracked down in Wharton and was taken into custody without incident. King faces 3 charges of aggravated robbery. He is in the Wharton County Jail in lieu of $150,000 bond. Governor Greg Abbott believes the steps he's taken are improving border security, but some residents of Eagle Pass disagree.
At its heart, Eagle Pass is vibrant and rich with culture. It's why Jesse Fuentes loves calling this border town his home.
You always get an opportunity to be connected to your roots.
He's upset the public's perception of the city is now mangled by the razor wire. Glimmering coils stretch along the border for miles.
You know, that concertina wire is brutal.
Juanita Martinez says it's left a scar on the city's reputation and on those caught in it.
The community is exhausted. We're exhausted from the situation.
A situation hitting a peak in December. Thousands of men, women, and children waiting to be processed by Border Patrol, filling a massive field. Several Republican governors blame what they say is the president's inaction at the border for increased crime and drug issues in their states.
It's very clear that this is not just a fight that Texas is having. This is a fight that all of us have to engage in.
Every state in our country now is a border state.
It's why they're backing Governor Greg Abbott's decision to take control, which he's done at Shelby Park.
First of all, I think the local residents around here are angry, and rightfully so, because their area, their neighborhoods, their golf courses, their shopping areas, all have been invaded.
That's not true, Mija. That's not true at all. Right now, we're being invaded by the crazy people that he has incited to come here and to wreak havoc on our community.
Martinez and several others want the state to back off and get out.
We need our park back. I want Governor Greg Abbott to get the hell out of our community.
Midcoast Family Services of Victoria was awarded 2 federal grants totaling over $1.1 million through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Continuum of Care program. The grants will provide to Midcoast Family Services housing assistance and support services for individuals, families, minors, and domestic violence survivors experiencing homelessness. 3 weeks after an explosion rocked a hotel in Fort Worth, the city's fire department is stepping back as the lead investigative agency. 21 people were hurt in the blast on January 8th.
And we are an interested party still, so we are not going away.
The department will continue to monitor what's going on at the site. Their investigators still believe natural gas was somehow involved in the blast. But Atmos Energy has said it found no indication its gas lines or equipment caused the explosion. The company puts the blame on hotel property ownership and management in its legal filings. The attorney for Jose Mira, who worked at the restaurant inside the Sandman and was injured in the blast, says it's too early to know for sure.
Everybody wants to figure out what caused the explosion, and that's the main focus right now.
The lawsuit attorney Eric Marie has filed against the hotel, its property management company, and Atmos Energy is one of several cases brought forward by victims. Each want to bring in their own experts to determine the cause and origin of the blast.
If they find anything, we reserve the right to step back in and say, okay, now this possibly could rise back to criminal intent because of what you found here. And so we are going to reinsert ourselves as the lead agency.
But before that process can begin, Northland Properties has to first shore up the building.
And I hate to tell you, but it's probably going to be about a month of work before the building is deemed safe enough to begin sort of the cause and origin type work.
In the meantime, Marie says his client is still suffering from the traumatic brain injury caused by the explosion.
That he got knocked down and then obviously had to crawl his way out. But he's a trooper. We'll get through this.
As they continue to search for answers, while the civil court system oversees the next phase of the investigation.
Senator John Cornyn announced SkyWest Airlines will get nearly $20 million in federal funds for Victoria Airlines services. The funds will come in over a 3-year term to support essential air services to and from the Victoria region. This includes 12 round-trip flights per week from Victoria Regional Airport to Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. Airport Director Lenny Lorena says this will help attract business to the region.
At the end of everything, it makes our community more, gives more advantageous reasons for people to move their companies to this area, since you have actual commercial service via United Airlines serving the community.
Senator Cornyn says this funding will provide and improve connectivity, tourism, and economic opportunity in Southeast Texas. Wednesday, Crestwood Drive will close between Navarro Street and Main Street from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. for paving operations. All businesses and homes in the construction area zone will remain accessible. The construction is part of the Crestwood Drive Phase 3 reconstruction project. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6. A new bill with border protection funding is headed to a vote in the Senate. Also ahead, a storm that whacked California is now doing the same to Nevada. Be coming to the U.S. immigration system if a long-awaited Senate bipartisan border deal and foreign aid package becomes law. Now, while the bill has an uphill battle in Congress, if passed, it would dramatically reshape the asylum process and grant new powers to the president.
Amid an intensifying migrant surge at the U.S. southern border, and raging conflicts overseas, a bipartisan legislative proposal was unveiled Sunday to address these crises and dramatically change the U.S. immigration law for the first time in decades.
This bill is vital to America's future interests.
Among the changes, new emergency authority for the executive branch to restrict border crossings if certain numbers are reached, raising the legal standard of proof to pass the initial screening for asylum, expediting the asylum process from years to 6 months, and a new process for U.S. citizenship and immigration services to decide asylum claims without going through the courts.
All the things that we build into this to make this a much stronger system, gaps that are in the law, get closed in this structure.
The $118.2 billion package also provides critical aid to key U.S. allies abroad, including additional support for Ukraine, security assistance for Israel, as well as humanitarian assistance for civilians in Gaza and the West Bank. While Senate leadership is pushing for passage,
We have to persist because this legislation is too important to the country.
the compromise faces an uncertain future. GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson calling it dead on arrival, despite demands from Republicans to contend with the border crisis.
We have to decide as Republicans, what are we going to actually do about the border?
In New York, I'm Gloria Pazmino.
Free mental health services are now available for more than 153,000 students across all Texas A&M University institutions. The school system announced Monday that students have 24/7 access to TELUS Health Student Support, a confidential mental health care app. Students can access virtual counseling via phone or chat and make appointments for short-term support by telephone or video. Officials in western Nevada are urging people to stay off the roads amid a powerful winter storm. The storm hammering California is also slamming the Sierra Nevada, making for heavy snow, slick roads, and hazardous driving conditions. Road crews are working 12-hour shifts to plow highways. The Reno-Tahoe International Airport has had a handful of flight delays with at least one cancellation. Parts of the Sierras have already recorded more than 2 feet of snow this week, with several more inches forecast on Tuesday.
We're going to be talking about the atmospheric river and what it's doing to that part of the world coming up in just a moment. Right about now, we're looking at 60 degrees. That north wind was a little chilly. Some of you might have needed a jacket, but our high was only 63. Of course, that's below average, but the rest of the week is going to be in the low 70s. So we've got a little bit of spring-like weather. Now, last rain we had was Saturday morning. Obviously nothing today, but since the 1st of February, 5 days, we've had 2.7, and that brings our year to 1041. That's pretty good, so early in the season. We'll talk more about your weather, your weekend, and what the West Coast storm may do to our weather coming up in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. After a very nice weekend, all of a sudden it got a little chilly this afternoon. That north wind was gusting up to about 30 miles an hour, but that has settled down. In fact, the cloud deck that rolled through is pretty much gone now. So we are now on the backside of the storm. Actually, remember Friday night, Saturday morning? Well, that's the storm we're talking about. That's already out in Florida, and that's giving us the backflow. So that's the north wind today. By tomorrow, though, the southeast wind returns, and that's going to give us some very spring-like weather right on through the rest of this week. But of course, the big story is out here on the West Coast. I can't say enough words about the intensity, the magnitude, the width, and the breadth of this storm system, because it is from the Aleutians all the way down. And here's what we're talking about when they mention the atmospheric river. Basically, high-level winds up where the airplanes are flying are streaming Pacific moisture from Hawaii all the way up right into California. Of course, when it runs over the water, that's one problem. When it hits the mountains, well, it gets torrential rainfall, and they have had torrential rainfall since yesterday. Again today, massive flooding, almost 1 million people without power, and some of the most expensive property in all of California is going to be underwater in the next day or so, if not sliding off the mountain. This is San Diego, California, which basically is on the south end of all this activity. And look at the massive flooding that they're getting there right about now. Now, remember, this area of the world gets 10 to 12 inches of rain a year. They've already had 10 to 15 inches of rain in 2 days, so the flooding is just going to be unbelievable. Not only that, but of course, it's not over with. In fact, this stormy weather will continue through the night, through most of Tuesday, before it starts pulling out on Wednesday. And I wish I could tell you that was the end of it, but it's not. But that's on the West Coast. That storm eventually will affect us slightly, but we'll talk about it in a minute. Of course, as Don mentioned, we do still have the flood warnings for the Guadalupe River and for the Lavaca River up here. But the good news is that the rivers are coming back down into Bankful because of the lack of any additional rainfall. Now tonight will be rather chilly, getting down into the 40s, so it's a sweater kind of night. But tomorrow we'll get up into the upper 60s and a few 70s, and then we'll get up to the low 70s as the strong south wind kicks back in to the area. Now, as I mentioned, here is the Lavaca River at Edna, crested yesterday. Little bit of a drop today, still out of its banks, but by tomorrow should get back into the bankful and then decrease, no additional rain. There is some additional rain on the horizon for us, and let me show you how it gets here. High pressure is giving us a couple of good days. South wind kicks back in. That gives us the balmy weather for the middle of the week. Here's the California storm. It does cross, but then it starts moving to the northeast, okay? So that means we get the tail end of the front, not the most volatile weather. So we'll have a little rain opportunity at the end of the week, but it's not going to be bad. There's a nice forecast, sunny skies tomorrow. For Cuero, we're also looking for sunny skies tomorrow. We're looking at sunny skies through about Friday when we start seeing the clouds build up. And Saturday night into Sunday morning, we have a slight chance for rain, but it will not be anything like it was over that last weekend. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody to scan that QR code and put it on your phone. Back to Don.
Mac, thank you. And sports reporter Zach Brown is here with a whole bunch of soccer news.
A lot of soccer, and we got a huge match between two area powerhouses on the soccer pitch in the Crossroads. Here from one of those teams coming up in sports. Calhoun soccer comes into this week ranked at number 4. El Campo number 2, and they play each other tomorrow in El Campo. Last year, these two tied in game 1, and Calhoun won the second time around, and they actually almost met each other in the state semifinals in Katy. But that was last year. The Rice Boroughs ready to defend the home turf.
We've kind of talked about it that we're trying to be the 2 best teams in our district and in our region, and frankly the state. But at the end of the day, we're worried about ourselves. We're not really worried about who we're playing or what kind of obstacles we may face. We set a state mentality that everything we're going to do it to a state standard, and we're holding ourselves to that standard the entire year. It's going to take relentless effort. It's going to take everything that we have to be able to stay in the game, and I hope we pull it out at the end.
That game will be in El Campo tomorrow at 7:30. On a more global stage, Messi and Inter Miami travel to Hong Kong. And, of course, with Messi playing, they're going to pack the stadium out, except he didn't play. Fans booed and could be heard chanting they wanted a refund. Apparently, he was fit to play because on the sheet before the game, he was listed as an available substitute. Then at the half, they were suddenly told he had a knee injury. They informed local government and apparently still couldn't resolve this messy situation.
And share the disappointment of local and overseas fans and stakeholders. Nevertheless, we hope that there will be a lasting positive impact on the thousands of Hong Kong youth athletes, youth with special needs, and students who took part in the 2-day community outreach program with the marquee players.
They also announced they would be withdrawing themselves from government grants due to what transpired. In other global soccer news, the World Cup games in 2026 coming very close to home. Dallas will host a total of 9 games. Houston gets 7. They get 5 group stage matches, 1 round of 32 and 1 round of 16. The championship, though, that's going to be all the way up in New Jersey. Now to the other football. I'm talking about the Pro Bowl. Some Lone Stars hitting the field. The combination, this might give Cowboys fans nightmares. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts to CeeDee Lamb for a touchdown. And they've also got the best quarterback in the state of Texas. Of course, that is C.J. Stroud with maybe the best throw of the Pro Bowl games. Even the announcer thought this was just a jump ball. It ended up being a perfectly placed dime to Jamar Chase. And I know that we haven't even played the Super Bowl yet. By the way, they touched down in Vegas. Oh, the Texans looking very good next year if they get a true #1 receiver, Don.
I got a soccer question for you, Zach. We just found out that Jerry World, also known as AT&T Stadium, will be renamed Dallas Stadium for the World Cup in 2 years. I didn't know the World Cup had that kind of power.
Well, I didn't know that stadium was in Dallas. I thought it was in Arlington this whole time, Don.
Yes. I got to check that map. All right. Zach, thank you. We're back in a moment. In the hometown of a famous beer, more than a 6-pack of golden retrievers took over this weekend. There was a massive gathering of wet noses, wagging tails, and unconditional love in Colorado over the weekend. Golden, Colorado to be exact, where thousands of golden retrievers gather to celebrate National Golden Retriever Day. For them, it's Doggy Disneyland. The city holds its Goldens in Golden event every year. This year's rain and snow made for a whole mess of happy, soggy doggies.
My dog would have hated being out there. He hates the water.
And of course, the world famous beer that is brewed in Golden, Colorado would be
Coors.
Coors, very good. Thank you very much. And it looks like the weather there may be forcing people to stay inside and have a couple of brewskis.
It's going to be
Nevada too. Those,
Sure. That whole thing in California is rolling over Nevada, then Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. Eventually, the tail end of it gets to our area by this coming weekend and gives us a slight chance for some rain. But the center, the main energy of the storm is going to be way far north, so we don't expect any severe weather to worry us with that then. But in the meantime, we're going to be in the 70s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Enjoy.
That is, again, Chamber of Commerce weather.
For us, yes. And for all of this side of the Rockies.
Chamber of Horrors.
This side of the Rockies, temperatures running 20 degrees above normal for winter.
Bizarre, really bizarre. Mac, thank you, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10. Have a good one, everybody.